Could you state your name?
My name is Glenn Giles.
Okay. Which school did you attend?
I attended high school at Chatham High School here in Chatham, Virginia. However, I started out in a one-room school in Pittsylvania County in a community called Concord, and I went there for until I was in the third grade, and they closed the school, and then I got to ride the school bus to Chatham Elementary School, which is located on South Main Street in Chatham.
Wow. Okay. Did you graduate from this school, or did you attend a different one after you left this school?
I graduated from Chatham High School.
Okay. How close was your house to the school? Do you remember your address?
I lived about 3 miles away, southwest of town, and so I rode the school bus over in the morning and back in the afternoon. However, I was always on the last bus in the morning and the first bus in the afternoon, so there was no opportunity for socializing at the school.
Is the place you lived then still standing?
Yes.
Do you know like how many children are on the bus with you?
Well, there would have been about 25, 30.
Okay. What was it like to ride the bus?
Well, it wasn't too comfortable because actually the buses were owned by county citizens, and some of them weren't too well prepared. The seats were benches that ran longitudinally along the bus, and they weren't well padded. And at that time, the roads weren't paved, and so it was a very bumpy ride.
Gosh.
And dusty, because the windows were down, and if you were following another car, all of that dust came in. And
so not a very enjoyable experience. Okay. What do you remember about your first day going to this school? What did it feel like?
Now, which school is that?
Well, we could start from the one you went 3 years and then to the high school.
Well, actually, I lived about almost a mile from the school. I think the first day I had a brother who was 5 years older than I was, so he walked me to school. And from then on, as a 6-year-old, I walked that mile to school.
Wow.
And back every day.
Wow. Did you say the Pledge of Allegiance in your classroom?
I don't remember, to be honest.
Okay. Did you have a Bible reading or a prayer in your class?
No.
No. Could you tell us a bit about your teachers? Do you remember any of their names?
Oh, yes. I remember one lady in the county schools. Her name was Miss Maggie Watson. She was a very small lady. But in that school, you had grades 1 through 5 all in there. And some of the 5th graders were 13 years old, and they were much bigger than she. And so I even remember one time where she was going to discipline one of those older kids, and they went around and around the stove.
Oh my goodness.
And she never laid a hand on him.
Wow. Who was your favorite teacher and why?
Oh, I would say my English teacher in high school. Her name was Miss Tilly DePonso, and her husband was a professor at Hargrave Military Academy, and she she got me interested in books and literature, and that's lasted all my life.
Those are the best kind of teachers.
Yes.
Who is your least favorite teacher and why?
Beg pardon?
Who is your least favorite teacher and why?
Oh, I don't know. I couldn't say that I really had a least favorite. I tried to like them all, and hopefully they all like me.
Well, that's a good thing. Do you remember who your principal was, and what memories do you have of him?
Our principal in high school was his name Ralph Myers, and he was principal in the high school for a number of years. I don't think he taught any classes, but you know, he was just the administrator, and he was not a disciplinarian or anything like that, but kids going to school when I went to school back in the late 30s and 40s, they were generally well behaved, so you had no discipline problems. What happened during that time, you know, there was no compulsory attendance, and so the people who weren't interested in graduating from high school usually would drop out after so many years, and so they would, you know, either get a job or work on their farm or something like that. So it kind of, all the misbehaving fell by the wayside voluntarily.
Oh gosh. Were you involved in any particular groups, like a sports team, a choir, or a club?
Oh, we had some clubs, things like Latin Club and a few things like that, but and all of the sports happened during lunchtime. It was always a basketball court, or you would go outside to the playground and pick up a little baseball game or something like that. But I didn't participate in sports. I had a physical problem, which I wasn't too good at sports, because I had an accident when I was 14 years old, and I lost the sight in one eye.
Wow.
And so therefore I had no depth perception, so I wasn't a very good batter. And that has gone through life, and I wasn't a very good golfer.
Oh goodness. Were there like any clubs that you wanted to be in, or they even
Well,
had a Latin club?
we didn't have that many clubs per se. No, I don't even remember. There were more for girls. They would have a home ec club, or they would have high Y or drama clubs and things like that. But most of the time, I was in high school during World War II, and so you know, you didn't have a very good mix of teachers at that time. There weren't very many male teachers, because most of them were in service.
Did you win any awards or special recognition while you were a student at your high school?
Well, I think I won the DAR Good Citizenship Award.
Oh.
And that was about the only thing I guess
That's a pretty good one, though.
mark of distinction.
Who is your best friend at this school? What do you remember about them?
Oh, you mean boy or girl?
Either one.
I guess I had a friend, Maynard Riddle, who was the same age, and we went all the way through elementary school and there, and eventually we didn't go to college together, but we went to the same college, and so we've remained friends all of our life.
Aw. Did you go on, okay, what was the food like at the school, or did you carry lunch from home?
When I was in elementary school, I did carry my lunch from home. There were quite a few kids in my family, and so we lived on a farm, and my mother would always pack biscuits of some type, and we would take a biscuit to school. I think about it now, you know, biscuits are the crave. Everybody has to have a biscuit from a fast food place. I was kind of embarrassed because I was eating biscuits, and everyone else had the sliced white bread, you know, store-bought bread, and I was, it kind of embarrassed a little bit. Now, my mother was one of the best biscuit makers ever in the world, and I would love to have those biscuits now. And then when I was in high school, we had no cafeteria, and so we were given a lunch hour, half an hour lunch break, and we would walk uptown to Chatham. There was an old diner on the corner. The building, the diner still is there now, but it's no longer a restaurant. But we could buy 2 hot dogs and a big Pepsi Cola for 25 cents.
Oh my goodness.
And so that was where I ate every day. Well, you know, my mom would make cheese biscuits or peanut butter and raisins on a biscuit.
That would be good.
It was you know, really leftover food from breakfast, usually, or something like that. A lot of meat, sausage, or something like that.
Bet you had the best lunch. Did you go on any field trips? Where and what do you remember about them?
We did not have any field trips as such. As I say, it was during the war, and you know, everything was pretty well tied down, and you just took care of the essentials.
Okay. Do you remember anything particularly funny that happened when you went to this school? Do you remember anything sad?
Well, I remember things sad because, as I say, it was during the war, and I can remember on several occasions that students would come to school, and they would either have experienced one of their family members being killed in service or missing in service, and I can remember, you know, how it was to attempt to try to console them, and it was a sad occasion for, you know, people who are any time, but especially hard on you when you're a youth and think you're going to live forever, and so that was sad occasion. I would say that as far as the good times, they were about the same as now.
Mm-hmm.
You
High school memories.
You enjoyed the companionship and trying to develop social skills. Sometimes you were better at it than at other times, but
okay.
you made the effort anyway.
Yeah. Did you ever get in any trouble while you were a student at this school? If you did, would you tell us about it?
I never got any trouble that I can recall, no.
Well, that's a good thing. Tell us about, oh, we'll skip that question. Do you have any special memories of graduation?
Yeah, you know, it was, you were happy to, for that phase of life to be over with, and you know, you were happy to see your family members there, and all the pomp and circumstance that goes on with a graduation exercise. You know, it's great, but it's kind of sad because you don't know what will, all the friendships you've made and relationships will be coming to an end, and you don't really know what's ahead of you. So, yeah, for me, it was kind of mixed emotions.
Did you go on to college, to the service, or directly to a job after graduation?
I went on to college. I went to the extension of VPI in Danville for 2 years, and then I went to Blacksburg and got a degree in chemical engineering, and then I was drafted into service, and I spent 2 years in service before getting my first employment.
Wow. Are there any reunions that you attended from this or another school?
Yes, we've had quite a few. I was in the class of 1948, and we had several reunions, some 20, 25 years later, and actually I helped organize them, and we didn't have but around 20 kids in our class, so even then, say 20 years later, they probably were down to 15, 16. So it wasn't very big reunion. Several other reunions have taken place since then. The high school that I went to was closed, and a new high school was built. And so in 1964, and so we have had several reunions where that there were students from all the school years, from the time the school was built from 1928 until it closed in 1964. And so they're probably the best reunions that you can have, because you get a great cross-section, and you find out how the education process took place, and you hear tales that have happened many years, and from different perspectives and different individuals.
Well, that's pretty cool. Is there anything you'd like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
Not really. I think it's a good idea to reminisce about early education, and I think that maybe some of the educational procedures could profit from the way classes were taught in the old days.
Could you state your name?
Edward Hairston.
Okay. Which school did you attend?
I attended, high school or elementary?
High school.
High school. I attended Southside High School in Blairs, Virginia.
Okay. What years were you in school there?
I was in school from 1961 to 1966. I graduated in June of 1966.
Okay. Did you graduate from the school or did you attend a different one?
No, I graduated from that school and went on to college.
Okay. How close was your house to the school? Do you remember your address?
Yes, my address was Route 1, Box 95 in Cascade, Virginia, which was approximately 20 or 23 miles from my home.
Okay. Is this place you lived then still standing?
The place I lived? Yes, it is. No one is living in it, but it's still there, still standing. It's on our property.
Did you ride a bus to school?
Yes, I did. I rode a bus to high school, and then eventually I became a bus driver. So I drove the school bus that I rode to school for the last 2 years, when my junior year and my high school and senior year, I drove a school bus.
Okay. How many children were on the bus with you?
It was pretty much loaded most of the time. I would say approximately 30, 35 students were on the bus most of the time.
What was it like to ride the bus?
It was a lot of fun. Sometimes people would get in trouble and talk too loud. We had safety patrols on the bus, and the bus driver usually kept us pretty straight. But we would be reported if we started acting up. But most of the time, the students were pretty well behaved on the bus. But it was a lot of fun. And sometimes the drivers would drive pretty fast, as fast as they could on those buses, because they had governors on them and everything. But it was really interesting and a lot of fun.
Okay. What do you remember about your first day going to the school?
High school?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we all talking about high school?
Yes,
right?
high school.
Okay, the first day of high school was a little bit different, because when I was in elementary school, I went to a different elementary school. They transferred us to another elementary school. But in high school, it was very, very strange, because now you're on a different level, because starting high school was what middle school is now. We were in the 8th grade, which now is middle school, but you had some adjustments to make with rotating the classes and that type of thing. Usually in elementary school, you stayed in one place and the teacher taught different things. But it was very interesting. It got us in the mode of being able to adjust to the environment. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, we had fun, and at that time, everybody called me quiet. In fact, I was voted to be one of the quietest. I didn't say much, and everybody knew I was there, but I became more active and open to speak later on when I went to college and everything. But I enjoyed high school.
Okay. Did you say the Pledge of Allegiance in your classroom?
Yes, we did. We said the Pledge of Allegiance, and we had recitals for different things. We had to do the 23rd Psalm, more so in the elementary. We didn't do so much there, but we did say the Pledge of Allegiance in high school, and we had songs that we sang, and it was respectful in that area.
Did you have a Bible reading or a prayer in class?
No, I don't think we had that. We did say the Lord's Prayer on occasions, and we had prayer before certain events and that type of thing, but didn't have really a Bible class or teaching in high school.
Okay. Could you tell us a bit about your teachers? Do you remember any of their names?
Yes. In fact, this is the book that I was just showing them. We had a golden anniversary from 1949, 1969, Southside High School. And it's got a lot of teachers in here that I remember their names and faces. And one of my teachers who influenced me to go to college is in here. My ag teacher, Mr. Lewis Evans, who in my junior year, he became assistant principal. So when I went to see him in his office, in his new office, because I used to eat lunch with him in the ag class when I was going to class, I went over and got to talking to him. I said, "How you assistant principal now? You're moving on up in the world." We got to talking, and he said, "What class are you taking this year?" I said, "Well, I'm in the general curriculum. I just want to get me a job and be happy." He said, "I'm changing your schedule right now," because as assistant principal, he could do that.
Yeah.
And I said, "Man, don't do that." I said, "Please don't do that." I said, "Of course, algebra and French and geometry, all that stuff is hard classes. I can't take that stuff. You can do it." And that was those 3 words, forward, you can do it, stuck in my mind. And because I had a relationship with him, and we developed a friendship as well as a teacher. I respected his position. I respected his suggestion for me to go to college. He said, do this. He said, even if you don't go, at least be prepared to go. I said, okay, I'll do it, and I'll try. So I did, and we became very good, close, and he mentored me, helped me get scholarships and other things. He was one of the teachers that stood out, as well as the principal that we had at the time, Mr. Turner, William Turner, who was also featured in this book. He was a disciplinarian, but he was very easy on me. I don't know why, because I didn't get in trouble. I didn't start trouble. He would point his fingers out to different students, tell them to go to class, and he would give money to some students who didn't have lunch money out of his own pocket. And he was concerned about the students, and he could go in the bathrooms and get the boys out from smoking. This is all they really did back in those days, the smoking, things like that. But there were other teachers, Mr. Flood, who was an ag teacher, he was real nice. Mr. Jeffries, who was an industrial art teacher, he was in the same office as Mr. Evans, so I developed a relationship with him. Mr. Robert Hairston, who just recently passed, he was my biology teacher. He was very nice, smiled all the time. Used to tell us to eat an apple a day, keep the doctor away, and things like that. And well, I did very good in his class. Mr. Harris, James Harris, I remember him. Mr. Lawrence Oles, who was a math teacher at the time. He didn't teach me, but I remember him. Also, Mr. Ralph Polk, who was a physical ed teacher. There's several of them that are still in there. Miss Briggs, one of my homeroom teachers, and several others that I remember the faces. Some of them I don't remember the name, but I remember the faces when I looked through this book. But it was very, very nice, because I always made myself open to do things for the teachers. I was cooperative, I was helpful, I was trying to do the best I could to get through school on a friendly basis with my teachers. I don't think I had any teacher that I didn't get along with, that I could not relate. There was one course in algebra was a little tough for me, and the teacher was Miss Smith. She was compassionate with me and very nice too, but the concept sometimes was a little hard. Math was not one of my favorite subjects, but I did make it through. I got a C, so I did pass. Yeah. And I guess I just went over the favorite one was Mr. Lewis Evans.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm telling you why. I already told you that in advance, because he was concerned about me. You know, people in general have a sign on their head that say, "Make me feel special today." This invisible sign, and he always did that. He always tell me what I can do, what you can do this, you can do that. He was an encourager. My parents would encourage me, but my parents did not have an opportunity to go to college or even high school. They were in elementary school. And my father wanted me to stay out, you know, and work a year before I went to college. And the principal told my dad he could send me to college cheaper than he could feed me. So that got him encouraged to go and let me go to college. And so with the principal and the teacher, Mr. Evans, encouraging my father to let me go to college, it made me have a chance to go to college.
That's great.
So I really benefited from that. I don't regret it.
They all sound like great teachers. So do you have a least favorite teacher?
Let's see. Now, I don't, but I had one teacher that embarrassed me in the 10th grade. He was a physical ed teacher. And we were getting ready to do an exercise. And I didn't hate him for this, but it was embarrassing. What happened, we were getting ready to do an exercise, and he said, and he was instructing, and I said, I know how to, he said, wait a minute, he stopped the whole class. You don't know anything until I tell it to you. So that was embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I never hated him for that. But I appreciate him doing that. In fact, I find him now, I would thank him, because he was right. He's the teacher. And sometimes students want to get ahead of the teacher, you know, with their eagerness and whatnot. But until you listen to everything, you can't say what you know, because you don't know until he tells you. He or she tells you, you know. So that was the least favorite, I guess, at the time. But now I go back and I would thank him for that. But no, there was no least favorite, because all of them were there to help me. And I realized that. And I didn't want to make it so that they would be not willing to help me, because students need to know that the teachers are there to give you an education, to help you get an education, and that's what I like.
Okay. Do you remember who the principal was? And
Yes.
you were telling me.
Mr. William S. Turner.
Do
They
you
call him
have,
Bill Turner.
I guess you did tell us memories of him. Did you have
Oh,
any
yeah.
more you wanted to add?
Well, basically, no, he would do things in school. I watched him show his authority figure. He was very much a strong man. He was a strong character man. I never saw him doing anything illegal or anything out of the way. He was always strictly business. He was not a guy that would sit and spend a lot of time laughing and talking. He was not a social person, but he was a friendly guy, and he was very much caring person. And so I think that's what students want, is somebody who can care for their students and the people that they serve, because really they're there to serve the students and to teach them and to help them be successful in life. And he was very much concerned to do that. And I have a lot of respect for him and his memory of him and his wife as well. She was a home economics teacher, which she didn't teach me that, but she was just as friendly as she could be, you know. I mean, and what happened in our school, it was like a family, you know. We cared about one another. If she saw a student doing something wrong, she would speak up, or another teacher would speak to another student. They didn't just have one student that they looked, or one class they looked after. They looked after everybody in the whole school. It was a school team effort. It was a school team goal to educate, get these students educated, and to get them through college, and to get them through high school, and to get a career or military. Some of them went in the military. Some of my classmates went in the military during the Vietnam War. I went in the military. I was a ROTC graduate from my college, went in as an officer and served in the reserves, and never went to Vietnam. At the time I got out, Vietnam was winding down, but I was serving during that time at Fort Hood, Texas. Wow. That's what happened after I got out of college.
Were you involved in any particular groups, like a sports team, a choir, or a club?
Yes, I didn't get involved in sports, but I was involved in the livestock judging in my field of study at high school. And we traveled, went to Florida, went to North Carolina, A&T State University to judge, and I came in first place on several of the judging teams. You had to judge back in those days, and I guess they still may do this now. You give reasons why you place one animal over another one. Oh. And in geometry, I got a B. You know, I told you I wasn't strong in math, but I liked the idea of reasoning and being able to deduct and inductive reasoning and those kind of things. And that was my strength, in that in this judging team, they taught us how to reason, why you place one animal over another one, and you had to give reasons. So I had first place in dairy cattle and first place in sheep, and then I had some other trophies that I got while I was there. So that was the only thing pretty much that I did, because we grew up on a farm and my dad kept us busy. So we were working on the farm. If we had time to get in the club or sports, he would put us to work. In fact, I didn't play much basketball or football, because if my father saw me doing it, he said, "Oh, you must feel pretty good. Come on, Dad, let's do some work."
Did you win any awards or special recognition while you were a student at this school?
Yes, I was in the social studies honorary, and I was listed in Who's Who among students in American colleges and universities, and as well as in college and in high school. They had me in that listing, and I graduated with a high C average from high school, but I graduated with a 3.2 average in college. Wow. So my grade increased each semester while I was in college.
That's great.
So even though I didn't get into a lot of academics in high school, but I picked it up when I went to college. I took more interest in myself, because remember I told you I was just planning to get out of high school and get me a job, you know, like everybody else. Yeah.
Who is your best friend at this school? What do you remember about them?
Well, one of my friends was Monroe Patterson. He's deceased now, but he was a good friend of mine, and he was kind of quiet, and he worked at the hospital, and when he graduated, he also went to Virginia State for a while, and he also was in the Army Reserves, and then he worked at the hospital. But we stayed in touch, and was a close friend of mine. Very fond memories of him. He was his mother and my mother were good friends, and we just became, you know, close friends in high school. And I had some others, but he was probably one of my closest friends. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What was the food like at this school, or did you carry lunch from home?
Well, some days I carried lunch, and some days I ate. A lot of days I ate lunch at school, because depending on what they had on the menu. Mm-hmm. But the food was very good, and my mother fixed me sandwiches that I took, and on occasions I would bring food from home, but most of the time I would eat lunch at school.
Did you go on any field trips?
Well, like I said, when I went, the trips were the livestock judging trips. I didn't go on any other field trips that I know of, like Jamestown or anything like that. We didn't, at the time, I didn't go on any of those, but when we had judging at the any events that we went to, most of my trips were in college. I didn't really go to many judging or any kind of activities while I was in high school. Most of the time we stayed at the school and we did activities at the school, and we had they had meetings, PTA meetings and whatnot, that my father would go to. And I remember one time Mr. Evans, me and another guy picked up his car, and he made us scatter some fertilizer on the yard because he had a small Fiat, and we were trying to pick it up. He caught us doing it, you know, playing around with the car. It was a real small car. And so he said, y'all feel pretty good, so he come on out here and spread some fertilizer on the lawn at school. You know, so we got in trouble for that. But other than that, we didn't do a whole lot. But it was a good experience and very memorable experience going to school.
Do you remember anything funny that happened when you went to this school, or anything sad?
Well, something funny that happened one time when I was in Mr. Evans' office, and it was embarrassing. I had a pair of black corduroy pants, and I stooped down to pick up something off the floor, and my pants ripped right in the middle. The seam, the thread just ripped right straight underneath the pants. So I had a jacket that I had to wear that day around me to keep from showing my underwear at all. But now kids, they wear their pants down, they show underwear that way. But I didn't want to do that. It was embarrassing to me, so I put my sleeves around and tied them around. That was the most funniest thing I had happen to me. It's a good thing I was in the office and not out in the classroom or somewhere. But I reached down to pick up something, and those pants just zoop, and that was really funny. Everybody was laughing at me that was in the office. But that was about the most funny thing that I remember. And I don't remember anything really sad in high school because most of my the time we were there was pretty happy and pretty good.
Okay. Did you get into any trouble when you were a student at this school?
Never got in any trouble. Never got sent home. Never had a write-up about anything at all. Now, my oldest son, I could say differently about him. He got in trouble all the time at school, you know, a fight or something. But I never got in any fights, never got in any. Because I was, like I said, I was real quiet. I stayed to myself. I tried to do my work, and so I never had any trouble in school.
Okay. Tell us about the object you brought with you today. Okay,
this is a book. It's called the Southside High School Ram, 1999, from 1949 to 1969. So they had a reunion, and this was like a heritage to build on. That's what it was. And so there are pictures in here. It gives a history of the school, and also a picture of Mr. Evans. I think he was somewhere here in the beginning, in a history. And we were looking at some of the pictures of the teachers and some people that were influential in the school, because, you know, let's see, I think I can find him in here. Some of these organizers, there were color pictures, but the book has a lot of memories, and I remember these teachers. And let's see. So let me see if I can find his picture, because the principal that was there. Yeah, this is Mr. Turner, the one I talked about. He was the principal. And this is Lewis Evans. He was my ag teacher and the assistant principal, changed my schedule. So these are the two most influential people in this book that really had an impact on me going to college and continuing my education and developing as an adult. They were character builders, you know. This man right here, they have a picture of him in the school board office now, a painting that they did. So he's in the school board office. And Lewis Evans, he and his wife both were deceased. And this gentleman here, he came after I graduated, Mervyn Brown. I knew him, but he was assistant principal, I think, or he became principal, I think, at the time. Assistant principal, so both of these were assistant principal. And I think he eventually, when it became Blairs Middle School, he was a principal. But Mr. Turner was, he was at the school from 1948. That was the year I was born. So he was there from 1948 to 1969. and that was the time they integrated and they separated the schools and whatnot. So I think he retired at that time. He went to the central office or something.
Okay.
But he passed away. But these, like I said, this book brings back a lot of fond memories of my high school years and what it meant to me to be a student at the school and to be able to go on in life and do some things, and I don't regret it, what happened in my life.
That's a great book.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I just happen to have this. I meant to bring my yearbook the year I graduated, but this is even better because it's got all the class pictures in here from those years. And so it's like a golden past and a heritage to build on. And this weekend, they're having a alumni graduation at my college I went to. Alumni weekend. Every year they have that, and this year they're featuring the ones that end in 0 and 5. So I graduated in 1970. I wanted to go, but as my schedule wouldn't permit me to go, so I ended up not going. But they're going to have, and I was the president of my senior class at that school.
Oh, wow.
So it would have been nice if I could have gone. But maybe I'll catch it at the next round, when they come back again.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be a little older and more mature. Yeah.
Do you have any special memories of graduation?
At graduation from high school, I would say knowing that I was going to college was really exciting. I remember my mom and dad. I always tried to do something to make my mom and dad proud. I was the only one in my family of 8 that went to college, the first one that went, and the only one. My brothers and all, my youngest brother finished high school, and I tried to encourage him to go because he said he didn't want to go to college. He said if he could just get out of school, that'd be fine. That's all he wanted to do. But he had other interests and he wanted to do and things that he had a career in law enforcement, different things. But I just saw that one of the things I wanted to be was in the military because I had 2 brothers that were in the military. They didn't retire, but one was in both of them were in really during the Korean conflict back there. But I went on to major at school in had ROTC commission, and I was very proud to be able to do that, to go to college and kind of make my teacher and my principal and my parents proud. So just to stick my chest out saying that I'd done something that I didn't think I could do, that was really a fond memory for me, and to finish high school. And so overall, I'm just appreciative of life in general, and I feel like that life is not given to you for your own purpose. It's for others to serve. And I've served on several committees. I've served on the school board from 93 to 95. I was appointed, and when I ran, I didn't get elected. But I don't regret anything I've done as far as that goes, but I'm not fond of politics as such. I like serving in the community in different things, and finishing school and the memories and the things that I had with Mr. Turner and Mr. Evans, those people that influenced me when I was younger, helped me to influence other students and other people. One of my family members gave me credit because I went to college. He felt like he could go to college, one of my nephews, and now he's an attorney. So
wonderful.
I didn't know that until the other day. He got up and said that. I said, why didn't you tell me that before now? So it's surprising that people are watching you when you're living a life, and you never know who's watching you and what kind of influence you have on them. So that makes me proud if I can help somebody else or encourage somebody else to be, in a way where I can influence somebody else to be successful. We got a lot of influence of being unsuccessful and being destructive. We see that every day in the news. But if we can find people that somebody can put their eye on to want to be a successful person in life, that means a whole lot for our future of our country. I like what President Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And I've kind of accepted that as something that I've done, and that's why I wanted to serve in the military. That's why I want to serve on my community. That's why I serve on different committees in my church and different things that I do, because I'd rather wear out than rust out. Some people just sit around and don't do anything. And people say, well, why don't you sit down and just take it easy? Well, if I did that, I'd rust out, and I couldn't get up. So I try to be active in what I'm doing.
That's a good way to look at life.
Yeah, I try to do that.
says, did you go on to college or service or directly to a job? You said you went to college.
Yes, right.
Mm-hmm.
And I went on, and after I got out, I worked at Goodyear. My wife was a school teacher, and I worked at Goodyear for a while, and then I worked with my brother selling cars. He was a car dealer, and then I went on to Philip Morris and worked 9 years. Got a chance to travel overseas. I went to Turkey, Greece, Switzerland, Venezuela, Canada, and other countries, and I also traveled to tobacco growing regions throughout the southeast and Kentucky and whatnot. And then I became an insurance agent, so I've been doing that now ever since, and I'm still working in that area. We're helping seniors and the baby boomers get their insurance, Medicare, and all that kind of thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still have any friends from this time in your life?
Do I what?
Do you still have any friends from this time in your life?
Oh, yes. You mean people that went to school with me
Mm-hmm.
and things? Oh, yeah. I have a lot of friends and people that I went to school with. Some of them have passed on, but I stay in touch with several of them in the community that I went to school with. Yeah, just a handful, not a lot, you know, because the people go in so many different directions, and their lifestyle changes, and they retire and they go other places. Some of the people have gone other places to live and work, but I have stayed in touch with a handful of people.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any reunions that you attend from this or another school?
Well, you mean as far as high school reunion?
Yeah.
I have been to a couple. They have one coming up, I believe, a reunion for the Southside, and I haven't attended on a regular basis all of them, but I have been to several. Because a lot of the people, you know, I haven't kept up with and don't know them, and may know them by face or something, but I have not kept up with a lot of reunions. But they also, like I said, have the alumni weekends for the college, so I have been to a couple. Though I went to one or two early after I graduated, and I went back and I saw one person that I knew. So it looked like they drift away,
Yeah.
and you lose touch, and you don't know them. If you did see them, you probably didn't know them because they age. You know, people we age, and some people show their age. Yeah.
Is there anything you would like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
No, I can't think of anything else that I like to add, but it's just that I would like to be an inspiration to other people to serve their community, to get involved with issues and things that's not going well in their community, to be concerned about the community, and above all to participate in the political process. We may not want to be a politician, but we have to participate in voting and doing things. You know, some people don't vote because they say, well, it won't make any difference. Yes, it does. One vote can make a difference, and every vote counts. And the longer we live in a community, the more we should be ready to become active participants. You know, you reap benefits, and then when something bad happens, we become reactive. We should be proactive and get involved, be concerned, and don't think that you've got to do everything, but you do something. You know, I heard one time put in my statement when I was accepted as the president of the class at my college class, I heard a wise man once say that I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will never fail to do what I can do. So that statement in itself, I think, is good for us to not fail to do what we can. We're all limited into things we can. Sometimes we don't have time. Sometimes we don't have the interest. But what you're interested in and what you're concerned about, do that, and you'll be rewarded. So if we can all participate in the system to do what we can. If we don't like something, express our dislike. Don't be violent, but be expressive to where you can do what you can through the ballot box, through other ways, protesting and showing you're a dissident without being violent. You know, I would say we need calm in the world because the world is getting more and more violent, more and more vicious. And one of the things I think we need is love. We need to love one another in a peaceable way. You know, show our love for one another, to smile and to be concerned. Some people, you look at them, they always got a grumpy look on their face. They're never happy with anything. It makes people around them miserable. That's why sometimes they don't have friends, because they don't show themselves friendly. I like to be a friendly person. I don't want to say I'm a pushover, but I want to be friendly. Sometimes I get upset. My wife, I get upset with her, but I still love her. You know, so you got to love one another, you know. So I was telling somebody the other day, the men especially, if we find a way to do as much as we can for our wife or our spouse, build up a good credit And then when you get in a jam and do something you shouldn't have done, you got some credit. You're not in a negative balance situation. You know?
Yeah.
So you got points built up. And I've been trying to do that now here lately. And with me and my wife, we've been married for 43 years. And I'm trying to get to 50. So if we can make it to 50,
Almost there.
We're almost there. So we keep working on that. And I don't plan on going anywhere because I don't think I could find anybody better than her for my wife. So that's what I'm happy with her. I hope she's happy with me. Sometimes we're not happy with each other, but you know, it's acceptance and commitment is important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for this interview.
Well, you're certainly welcome.